Good morning, Raleigh. I'm Kayla G, and this is Rise and Unwind. Yes, we know it's a little early, but think of it as the calm before your day really gets going. We've got what's happening around town, what people are talking about, and a few things to help you wake up without needing that third cup of coffee. Yet. So stick with us. We'll ease you into the day the right way. This week, we've got this.
It's that our immune systems will naturally decline as we age. It doesn't matter how healthy we feel, how active we are, our diet, our sleep, etc.
I've never done anything, unscripted in this way. And so to get to, to go to work every day, I say work because it was such a joy.
All that and more right here on Rise and Unwind Raleigh.
Do you ever dream of uncovering lost treasure, exploring ancient tunnels, or even chasing down history's greatest mysteries? Josh Gates lives that adventure for real. And he's back with brand new seasons of Expedition Unknown and Expedition Files on Discovery Channel. Fresh off a Daytime Emmy win, Josh's latest expeditions dig deeper than ever, from inside Egypt's Great Pyramid to tracking hidden treasures around the world. Josh, it's great to see you here.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right, I guess without giving out too much away or spoiling for everybody, what is one moment this season that you thought to yourself, I can't believe we're actually pulling this off?
I think it's our season premiere, which is this big 2-hour, 2-part special on the Great Pyramid of Giza. And look, this building, which is 4,500 years old, has always inspired conspiracy theories and mystery. And so we are going to crawl through every inch of the Great Pyramid, sections that are closed to the public. We're going to descend deep beneath the pyramid into the bedrock itself. And to be down there in those tunnels was just such an absolute, electric thrill. And to take our viewers with us, that's the moment where I was like, I can't believe we're doing this.
Fans love both Expedition Unknown and Expedition Files. Can you give us the elevator pitch? What is the biggest difference between the two shows and why people should be tuned in for both hours?
Sure. Expedition Unknown is our boots on the ground exploration adventure show. So we spend the whole hour, or in the season premiere, 2 hours, investigating far-flung mysteries around the world. That's where we're going to be crawling in tunnels, macheteing through jungles, diving into the unknown. Expedition Files, we are able to tackle 3 stories per hour, and these are incredibly iconic mysteries. I serve as a kind of guide through those stories, taking our viewers into the past, meeting experts and authors and historians that have, revelations, breaking news about some of the most famous cases in history. So that's really kind of pulling open the adventure filing cabinet and looking into these really awesome stories. And Expedition Unknown invites you to literally get dirty and get out there in the world with us. Josh
Gates says, if you want to be a Bilbo Baggins and go on an adventure, pull a Nike and just do it. See, like I put 2.
Just do it.
Yeah, there you go. Josh Gates, I want to thank you for joining me today. If you are into real-world mysteries, big swings, and a host who actually gets dirt under his nails, watch Josh Gates on Discovery. New episodes of Expedition Unknown and Expedition Files on Wednesday nights. Check your local listings and stream full episodes at discovery.com. Thanks for hanging out with me, Josh.
Hey, all the best, man. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Fans of When Calls the Heart are finally getting the backstory, and it's a pretty big one. Hope Valley 1874 is now streaming, taking us to the very beginning of the town and the people who pretty much built it. We're joined by Bethany Joy Lenz and Jill Hennessy, who play 2 of the women at the center of it all. And it's great to have you 2 here. How are you?
Hi, so great to be here.
All right.
Thank you for having us.
No worries. I've heard a lot about this. A lot of my fans, or a lot of the people watching, are fans of the show. And for people that do already or are already fans of this world, what's different about seeing Hope Valley kind of at the way beginning?
Oh man, I think it's going to be so incredible. I think for people to be able to see this town being built from the ground up. It's something. It's kind of like when you meet a new friend, or fall in love. The more that you find out about the person that you're in love with, you go to meet their family, you go and meet their siblings, you go sit there with their mom and go through the family photo book. Like, that's what we're giving you guys a chance to do as fans of When Calls the Heart. And we really hope to do it justice.
And Bethany, your character Rebecca is coming into the frontier life from pretty much Chicago life. What kind of adjustment is she dealing with early on?
Well, there are several adjustments. The first being that she's been recently widowed. So trying to figure out emotionally where to place her grief while also being in these sort of emergency situation of needing to get her daughter to a safe place. And we don't know exactly why yet. Well, we know, but you're going to find out. And she's got to get across the frontier and get her daughter into a safe place in Canada. So she doesn't have a lot of time for emotional processing. And that's kind of where Hattie Quinn comes in, Jill's character. It opens up once Rebecca lands. Hattie becomes a source of stability and trust for Rebecca to actually start to learn how to soften and open up.
And yeah, she was saying, Jill, Hattie's already part of this community. How would you describe her role in shaping what Hope Valley becomes?
Wow. Well, she's Hattie Quinn runs the trading post, and she originally came out with her husband and very small girl at the beginning. And now her daughter is around 20 years old, but she recently lost her husband. So now she's running this trading post by herself with her daughter. And she is sort of the glue that holds the community together. And I think she runs it with a great sense of humor and incredible, direct, no nonsense kind of spirit, and has great connections with the whole community. But then Rebecca starts walking into town with her daughter, riding in a covered wagon. And I think Hattie identifies a woman who's very courageous and intelligent and is kind of haunted by something. And Hattie's not sure what is haunting Rebecca, but I think she also identifies a kindred spirit that she might become friends with. And I think Rebecca sort of opens Hattie up to how lonely she really feels, and in a lot of feelings she's been trying to suppress just so she can get through day to day, because that's what this whole show is about. It's just these characters trying to survive every single day.
Hey, horses be walking, so it's not that big. You're not too far off.
Exactly.
All right, when people start watching now, what do you think is going to be like getting them hooked and keep them coming back each and every week?
The characters. I mean, the setting is amazing, but it's also something that they've seen before, maybe not as broken down, but we are using the When Calls the Heart sets. There are a few locations that will be new for When Calls fans. And for people who haven't watched When Calls the Heart, you don't need to. You can still jump right in and you won't miss a beat. But I would say the relationships of who the characters are there's something for everyone.
Hey, I want to thank you too for joining me today. Hope Valley 1874 is streaming now on Hallmark Plus with new episodes dropping every Thursday. You can jump in anytime to catch up. Thank you too for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know what happens when life throws everything at you before you even have a chance to figure it out? That's the idea behind Margo's Got Money Troubles, a series that follows a young woman navigating money, identity, and some very unexpected choices along the way. Today, we're joined by Ruthie Thorpe, the author behind the story, and Eva Anderson, executive producer and writer on the series, to talk about bringing this bold, funny, and very real world to life. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much.
All right, Ruthie, this story started as your novel. What was the moment that you knew Margo's story had to be told in this way?
Well, I think the whole book really began to come together. I'd had this idea for a character who was both a mother and an OnlyFans model, but when I brought in her father, who is an ex-pro wrestler, that's when the draft really started to come alive, was watching the two of them together.
So, Eva, when you came on to help adapt it, what stood out to you about Margo as a character?
I mean, Margo's such an interesting character in Ruthie's book. She's very resourceful. She's scrappy. You know, early in the book, she gets pregnant, has an affair with her college professor and gets pregnant, but is very she doesn't blame anyone for it. She just decides to take what life has given her and make something of it. And because of that, you get to follow her into all these really interesting places. She's also just like very funny, and she's very loving, and she's a great mom, and she's a great OnlyFans model. She's somebody you really want to root for, Margo.
And the show balances humor with some really real life struggles. How did you find that tone without losing either side? And how much did you pull from real life moments?
I mean, it all came from Ruthie's book. She has this really interesting tone that's both very, very funny and at times very dark. And I think a lot of it was just our cast. You know, we had Elle Fanning playing Margo, Michelle Pfeiffer playing Cheyenne, her mother, and Nick Offerman playing Jinx, her father, the pro wrestler. And those three could really balance so much in terms of putting them through really difficult things while never losing their heart and their humor and their love for each other.
And there's a lot of themes here. There's money, identity, motherhood, even some internet culture. What do you hope audiences take away after watching?
I hope that they feel more empowered to make their life something they want on their own terms.
The book's and the show's very non-judgmental, and I hope that they don't judge other people and they approach the people they love with love.
And now that people can watch it, what are you most excited for audiences to experience or react to?
Nicole Kidman wrestles Nick Offerman in a pro wrestling ring. And so that's pretty exciting.
I just love getting to see Elle Fanning, this feral and sort of bestial and very much a wrestler's daughter. And also the portrayal of that first postpartum period, I feel like is more accurate than I've seen on TV. And I'm excited for people to see her this way.
You buried the lead with Nicole Kidman and Nick Offerman there. All right.
Yeah. And Michelle Pfeiffer sings. That's also important.
All right, I'm excited for all of this. Margo's Got Bunny Travels is now streaming on Apple TV, so you can catch up on the series and see why so many people are already talking about it. Hey, I want to thank you, too, for joining me today.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for having us.
One bold idea turns a full-blown international mess in Balls Up. It's a fast, over-the-top comedy where marketing stunt goes completely sideways, and it doesn't let up. And today, Paul Walter Hauser plays Elijah right in the middle of the chaos. Paul, it's good to have you here, my friend. How are you?
Good to be here, man. Thank you for having me. Yeah, this movie, some people might find it far-fetched. You know, Wahlberg and I play two guys who are kind of, co-workers, but also arch nemesises, as it were, if that's a word, nemesises. But we end up at this World Cup game, Brazil versus Argentina, and we ruin the World Cup, and the entire nation of Brazil is after us. So it may seem far-fetched, but, sports fanatics are pretty tribalistic. This is the biggest game of the year. And as we see in baseball sometimes, a fan will get involved in the outfield where they stick their hand out and literally make an outfielder miss a fly ball. So something like this could definitely happen. And far be it from me to think that the Brazil soccer fans wouldn't want to kill two guys that ruined the World Cup.
Elijah gets thrown into some wild situations. How did you approach playing this character who was basically trying to just keep up with the chaos? Was there any real life influence to build that character off of?
Elijah is a bit of a fish out of water. He really isolates and is kind of in his own world, kind of work obsessed. I don't think he's on a dating app. I don't think he has many male friends or camaraderie or community. So this film is really him stepping out of his comfort zone entirely. And not only does he make a new friend by doing that, he kind of tests his own fortitude. He has to kind of man up or balls up, so to speak, in the film. And that was fun to play as an actor. It's fun to have to rise to the occasion amidst feeling the ineptitude of the character.
And the comedy here is pretty bold, pretty big. What was the most fun moment for you to film?
Oh, man. I think anything with me, Mark, and Sacha Baron Cohen was a lot of fun. And anything with Molly Shannon, because I'm a big SNL nerd. I love Saturday Night Live, and she's one of my favorite people.
I can't wait to see you and Sacha together. You guys are like some of the, in my opinion, you two are some of the best actors I've ever seen.
Thanks,
you two on screen together is just going to be very, very fun to see.
We got some magic moments.
You're also sharing the screen with Mark Wahlberg. What was that dynamic like behind the scenes?
Mark is super generous, super funny. He has a playfulness to him, a sense of almost like a naughty kid in school who's like, what can I get away with? Mark has a mischievous side, and he's very funny and sharp and well-read. So I got along with him swimmingly, and I hope people feel like we have good chemistry, because as we were doing it, it felt like we had good chemistry.
And I want to thank you for joining me today. Paul Walter Hauser. Balls Up is now streaming on Prime Video. So if you're looking for something fast, chaotic, and just a good time, it's ready to check out right now. Paul, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Dan.
It's not every day you see daughters planning their mom's wedding, but that is exactly what this new series is all about. Mom the Bride flips the script and follows women helping their moms celebrate love later in life, from dress fittings to the big day itself. Erin Cahill hosts the series on Hallmark Plus, and she's joining us now. Erin, it's great to see you. How are you?
Hi, it's great to see you, Dan. Thanks for having me.
All right, this idea really flips the traditional mother of the bride role, but what stood out to you in this concept?
Oh, well, what you just said, it's really flipping the script on weddings. We're used to seeing, it's right there in the intro. We're used to seeing moms plan their daughters' weddings, but to see the daughters have the opportunity to do this for their mothers is honestly one of the sweetest things I've ever experienced in my life.
And each episode, it follows a different family. What kind of stories or moments can viewers expect to see?
Well, so it's 6 real mothers and daughters, 6 real weddings. And what you can expect to see is everything you would anticipate with a wedding. The excitement, the stress, but also like inspiration and joy. And you can expect surprises in every episode. We really set our mind to surprising the brides and the families. And it is such a joy-filled ride, and it's all the emotions. That's the other thing you can expect. You can expect happiness, tears, laughter, and being really touched.
And you mentioned there's a lot of emotion packed into this. What surprised you the most while working with these moms and daughters?
I was pleasantly surprised at how much it meant to everybody. I knew, in my heart that would be the case, but to see these daughters just want to get it so right for their moms, and then to see the moms letting go of the steering wheel, and saying, okay, yes, take care of me for once, thank you, was just so special. Honestly, it's such an honor and a joy to be part of this with them. Oh, I will never forget it. I'll never stop being grateful. I'm not over it. We were filming for 6 months and I'm not over it.
And you've been part of so many Hallmark projects. How does hosting a series like this compare to acting in one?
Oh, I've never experienced anything like this in my life. I've never done anything, unscripted in this way. And so to get to, to go to work every day, I say work because it was such a joy, but to get to go to work and be part of this. I got to go to cake tastings and dress fittings and go to pick out venues. And it was such a blast. It didn't feel like work. It just truly felt like a gift. And I fell in love with each one of these families so purely. So by the time the weddings came around, I was like,
And the show really celebrates love a little later in life and
Yes.
family connection. What do you hope people take away after watching?
Oh, I love that. I hope that people feel inspired by what you just said, that connection, that family bond. I hope people feel, mothers and daughters for sure. Of course, I hope you get related back to your own love and you're like, oh, you want to call your mom and say, I love you. Or, mothers call their daughters and say, I love you. But really it's about the whole family. I hope that people just feel so inspired about love and connection and family and celebrating that.
Erin Cahill, I really want to thank you for joining us today. Mom's the Bride is now streaming on Hallmark Plus, so you can watch the full series pretty much any time you feel. All right, Erin, I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Dan.
Pregnancy advice can feel endless online, but one thing doctors keep stressing is that early care and follow-up care after birth really matters. The challenge is a lot of women still delay appointments or miss postpartum visits altogether, sometimes just because life just gets too overwhelming. Dr. Jamie Testa from United Healthcare is joining us with some practical advice for expectant moms and families trying to navigate all of it a little more confidently. Welcome to the show, Doctor. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Okay, if somebody thinks they might be pregnant, what's the first step that you recommend taking?
The most important first step is, if you think you're pregnant, to contact your doctor as soon as possible. They can help confirm your pregnancy, but also together, you can create a unique care plan to support your physical and emotional needs. And for those individuals who don't have a doctor yet, that's okay. You can contact the number on the back of your insurance card or contact your local health department so that you can connect with care as soon as possible.
And we hear a lot about that first trimester window. Why is getting care started early so important?
Starting early prenatal care, ideally in that first trimester, is critical to help improve outcomes for both mom and baby. These early visits help to identify potential risks sooner so that moms have the resources and information they need right from the start. But it also helps to create this reliable trust system so that you can tailor a plan that is unique to your needs, including physical and mental support. And this is so very important for those individuals experiencing substance use disorder or opioid use disorder. It's important to know that your care team is there to support you, not judge you, to ensure the best outcomes for both you and your baby.
And for people that feel overwhelmed by appointments or even information, what helps make these doctor visits more productive or even less intimidating?
You're right. There's a lot of information out there and there's a lot going on. So I would offer a few simple tips. First, write down your questions, no matter how big or small, and bring them with you to every appointment. Second, don't hesitate to ask your questions for things like nutrition, exercises, and what to expect during each stage of pregnancy. And third, keep track of your health information and bring it with you to every appointment. But really, the bottom line is this. Every pregnancy, every person is different. So having this open communication helps to make sure you get the most out of every visit, as well as get all the resources and information you need to support you on your pregnancy journey.
And postpartum care sometimes even gets overlooked once the baby arrives. What should be moms knowing about follow-up care and recovery after birth?
Well, you're right. Postpartum care is just as important as prenatal care because it helps evaluate both recovery physically after delivery as well as emotional well-being. It is encouraged that all women see their provider within 3 weeks after they deliver and then have a full comprehensive checkup no later than 12 weeks after they deliver. And during these appointments, a whole variety of topics are covered, like recovery and healing after delivery, breastfeeding support, and adjusting to life with a newborn. But it's also a great opportunity to talk about mental health. So for moms, if you are feeling unusually low or overwhelmed, it's super important that you speak up to your provider about this because it could be a symptom of postpartum depression or anxiety. And these are very common, but they're also very treatable and there is help available. You do not have to go through it alone. So please schedule those appointments and don't hesitate to speak up to your provider.
Dr. Testa, where can people go if they want more information or resources?
I would encourage everyone to check out everypregnancy.com for trusted information and support. Everypregnancy.com has a lot of great information that individuals can use no matter where they are in their pregnancy journey.
I really want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
A lot of people don't think about shingles until it happens, but for adults over 50, the risk actually goes up in a big way. It comes from a virus many of us have had since childhood. And when it comes back, it can seriously affect your daily life. We've got Dr. Leonard Friedland and Dr. Stacy Zulueta here to walk us through what to watch for and what we could do about it. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Nice to be here.
So for people who have never had it, what is shingles like and how can it impact everyday life?
Well, I'll get started. This is Dr. Leonard Friedland from GSK Vaccines. I'm a vaccine research scientist. So shingles is characterized as a painful blistering rash. It's also referred to as herpes zoster. And this painful blistering rash, which we call shingles, is caused by the same virus that causes chickenpox. And once you've had chickenpox, that virus remains dormant inside your body, and it can reactivate years later as shingles. 99% of people over the age of 50 in the United States already have that virus inside their bodies. 1 in 3 people will develop shingles in their lifetime. So no matter how well we feel, it's important to mention that our immune systems will naturally weaken as we age. And starting at age 50, the risk of developing shingles sharply increases. And so age is one of the most important risk factors for shingles, and it's age 50 and older when that risk begins to sharply increase.
So you're talking about the risk of being 50 and how that goes up of actually getting shingles. Is there a particular reason?
Yeah, it's that our immune systems will naturally decline as we age. It doesn't matter how healthy we feel, how active we are, our diet, our sleep, etc. We all age, and as we age, our immune systems naturally decline. And when those immune system declines, that virus that's been sleeping inside our body, it can reactivate. And that is why we know that once we're 50 and older, the risk of shingles sharply increases among our population.
Well, I feel like this is some good news to know. You don't necessarily have to go and set up an appointment with your doctor. You can actually, if you're 50 and older, go over and talk to a local Walmart pharmacist about shingles. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. So even though you might be feeling young and healthy well beyond your 50th birthday, the truth is, just like Dr. Friedland said, is that the immune system starts to weaken and the risk of developing shingles increases as we age. So even though people might not believe that shingles will impact them, it's something that maybe only older people experience. What is actually true is that about 1 million people will develop shingles in the US every year. So this is the reminder for the Gen Xers out there who were born before 1976. You're now at increased risks for shingles. So now is a really good time to come in and talk to our Walmart pharmacist about your risk for shingles and about prevention.
Aside from age, what are some of the risk factors people should know about?
And that's really great that you asked about that. And we've already talked about age being one of the most important risk factors because we know that most cases of shingles do occur in people 50 years of age and older. But stress, for example, can also increase your risk. Additionally, certain health conditions like diabetes, chronic kidney disease, heart diseases, these have all been associated with an increased risk of shingles. So if you're 50 years of age and older, particularly if you have one of these underlying health conditions such as diabetes, chronic kidney disease, and heart diseases, make that appointment, go in and ask your pharmacist about your risk for shingles and about prevention.
How can a conversation with the Walmart pharmacist actually help someone prevent shingles?
So your local Walmart pharmacist is a trusted and accessible healthcare professional who can help you assess your risk for all vaccine preventable diseases, including shingles, and help guide the conversation about prevention. So if you're 50 years and older, I definitely encourage you to come and see your Walmart pharmacist. You can also go to walmart.com. You can make an appointment on the app, or like I said, just walk in to any of our stores and ask to speak to the pharmacist.
Our 50-plus audience is ready. Where do they need to go to learn more?
Well, in addition to speaking with your local pharmacist or another trusted healthcare provider about certain vaccine preventable diseases, including shingles, another place to get information about how to get that appointment is at a website called easyvax.com, EASYVAX. easyvax.com, and on that website you can find a pharmacy near you and make the appointment and then go on in and have that critical healthcare conversation, learn about vaccine preventable diseases including shingles and about prevention.
Dr. Leonard, Dr. Stacy, thank you so much for your time and all that great information. You have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, Raleigh, that's going to do it for this week's Rise and Unwind. Hopefully you're feeling a little more awake, or at least one step closer to it. Thanks for starting your morning with us. And if you want more in between shows, you can always find us on socials at Rise Unwind, and we can keep hanging out. Until next time, have a great morning, Raleigh.